What is going on, FPL managers? Welcome to a new video from Fantasy Football Scout. We've got 30 minutes, or well, 28 minutes until the Game Week 4 deadline. That 2 weeks international break has seemed like an age, but we're finally there. Game Week 4 is upon us, and we have Simon March and Seb Wassel? I don't know how to pronounce your last name, mate, but who knows? We've got two wonderful people joining me for Game Week 4, and how are you guys? How are you guys feeling ahead of this Game Week 4 deadline?
Well, thanks, Ted. Looking forward to getting back to proper football.
Good stuff. And you, Seb?
I'm okay, thank you, mate. I'm okay. You know, I had a dream about FPL last night. I had a dream that they added a fourth, bonus point, but it was specifically for penalties. Now, I don't know if that might have something to do with what we've been thinking about all week, but that is the first time I've ever dreamt about FPL, and I don't feel great about it.
There's definitely been some dreams this week. I dreamt that Traore scored a penalty and put it top bins. So that was weird. But anyway, I think that's probably just saying we've been missing FPL.
A little bit.
So there we go. We've got our teams to look through this week. Some injuries to clear up, these international break stuff, what's going on with that? Will Ronaldo start? Lots of things to talk through. So let's have a look at one of our teams, and let's start with Simon. What transfers have you made this week?
So I made a double transfer and I've taken out Harvey Barnes and replaced him with Mason Mount. And I've taken out Danny Ings and replaced him with Raul Jimenez.
Ooh, I like that. I have a feeling that someone else on this panel has also made a similar move. But yeah, Danny Ings, difficult fixture. Harvey Barnes out of form. I definitely like that Mount pick. So why have you brought those players in?
Yeah, I think with Ings it's pretty tough because I mean he hasn't done anything wrong. You know, he's delivered in each of the fixtures, but you've just got to assume that it's going to become more difficult for him and for Aston Villa in general with the fixtures they've got going. With Jimenez, it's a bit of an act of faith. It's really. Well, partly it's the profile of the player that he is. He's really my kind of fancy football player in forward, in that he scores goals and he gets assists in roughly similar numbers, roughly equal numbers. When he is scoring, unfortunately, he hasn't done that so far, despite the fact that I was looking at his stats and he's had the second most chances with 12. All 12 have been in the box. Only one has been on target.
These Wolves players are such enigmas. I'm a bit sort of embarrassed that I haven't jumped on Wolves, having sort of bigged up Traore all week. I really wanted to, but it's that preemptiveness. Like, do stats predict form? Or do you have to get them when they've just got on the goals? Because neither Jimenez or Traore have scored yet, or even returned. So do you think that there's a little bit of a worry that you've preempted it and it's maybe going to stagger to a start? Or do you think this good run of fixtures is just going to explode?
I think it is a bit of a risk. I mean, it enabled me to move from Barnes to Mount because Jimenez is fairly reasonable. I think he's 7.4 at the moment. So there was that aspect to it. But also, I think, their statistics have looked really good, or their underlying statistics have looked really good. I think if it wasn't for the fact that they've got a pretty amazing run of fixtures, I probably would wait and see how things go. But I think that really mitigates the risk a bit. If they can't perform, in these next few, then that really is, that really does indicate that there's a problem within Wolves. But also, come game week 7, 8, we're going to be looking at teams like Chelsea anyway. So if we don't perform in the next 3 or so, then perhaps you can move on to Lukaku.
I'm going to be really annoyed if Wolves start doing really well and I just went against my intuition. But yeah, all good luck to you with Jimenez. I think it's a decent pick.
Do you not fancy them then? Do you think they're going to?
I really do. It's just that analogy, getting on the bus without a driver or getting on the last seat on something that is already moving. I just want one game where they score and then I'll be on them. Because as you alluded to, there might be something fundamentally wrong with their conversion for some reason. And I'd rather get on them one game late than maybe get on them, preempt that transfer. I don't know. I think it's a decent move. I think they will score. So Yeah.
See, I'd rather do the opposite. I'd always rather be, obviously, provided the evidence is there, I'd rather be early, see it, make the move. You've got 38 weeks in FPL, and we never have enough data. So if there's something there, like a team having good underlying stats, looking good when we watch them, okay, they've not scored a goal, but I know this will sound stupid. Goals are the most important thing in football, but they are the least reflective of how a match has actually gone. So Traore and Raul Jimenez getting chances, getting shots, looking good is much more informative than them actually converting. I understand they need to convert, but in terms of predicting what's going to happen in the future, I like what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, in a game, an average game, there's 2 or 3 goals, but I mean that isn't really reflective in how you predict something going forward, because if you look at number of shots, there's more shots to think about. There's more passes. There's loads of actions going around the pitch, which can indicate goals. But the fact that you have so few goals in a game is really, really a poor indicator of what will happen in the future. So yeah, completely agree. And I'm a bit annoyed for myself that I haven't gone Traore. But
there's still time, Ted. There's still time.
No, I'm not taking a -8 for Traore. Maybe next week. But yeah, so Simon, back to you. Salah captain. In fact, all of us are captaining a different player this week, which is interesting. I really like these game weeks because there's something that's a little bit diverse about the whole community. The choices start to unravel a little bit in terms of that diversity. So why Salah captain over Fernandes, for example?
Yeah, I could easily get talked out of that because I've had it on Fernandes right up until yesterday evening. I only switched to Salah. It's more a reflection of there's just too many uncertainties around Man United at the moment as to what his role is going to be. And I don't think it's a huge risk. I mean, I've got him as my vice captain, so obviously I've still got some faith in him. And I don't know, I could switch back in the next 21 minutes. I think there's so little between it. But then you look at Salah, look at the goals that he scored against Leeds last season, look at the kind of opposition that he would do well against and that Leeds would struggle against, and you think this could be a bit of a bloodbath. The fact that it's Sunday afternoon kickoff as well means that whatever happens today with Ronaldo, who obviously I don't have, I've got the possibility that Salah will dig me out of it. So there's that as well.
You can look forward to watching that game tomorrow. I completely agree with you. I think that Leeds games will be quite open. They are typically leaky with shots. So Salah will get his chances. I don't know how the Jota guaranteed sort of forward position will affect him. I always say this every week and then go, Salah's getting loads of chances anyway, so it probably doesn't matter that much. But I liked what Ollie was saying in his press conference, that Ronaldo's going to take all the attention and other teams are maybe just going to focus on stopping him. So that's maybe going to open up the likes of Fernandes and Greenwood, some space for them, for example. So I think Fernandes is also a decent captaincy shout. And that might segue into us talking about Seb's team. So let's, before I switch over, is there anyone that you're worried about in your team at the moment, Simon? You've got some interesting picks in Adam Armstrong, which I think he's a decent pick, and Schmeichel in goal. Are those future worries, or are you happy with those guys?
I'm reasonably happy with both of them. Armstrong's fixtures are on and off, but I think that he's the kind of player that might do well against teams that play a high line anyway, which would be teams like Man City and the tougher fixtures. So he's worth rolling the dice a little bit with there. Schmeichel, no, I really like. I think he's been overlooked. I think the fact that you can get him and Ward for 9 million. And you would expect Leicester to do reasonably well this season if previous form was anything to go by. I'm quite happy with him. I would have kept him probably even on a wild card. The big worry, if anything, is not owning Ronaldo, who I know is going to be heavily owned and massively captained. So.
Are you going to look to bring in either Lukaku or Ronaldo in the future, or are you happy rolling the dice with Fernandes for the next few weeks?
I think Fernandes is probably staying in for the next couple at least, just so I've got the extra transfer to do something more interesting with it. But yeah, I mean, he could be converted into a Ronaldo or Lukaku, definitely. At the moment, I'm leaning more towards Lukaku, but we'll have to see see how Ronaldo does.
I like it. I mean, Game Week 7 makes sense for Lukaku, considering you have Mount that might cover him for the Aston Villa game. And then they've got Tottenham and Man City in the next two, so you're probably not, super keen on bringing him in immediately. Game week 7 is a good run for Chelsea, though.
Yeah, I think Lukaku possibly makes Mount a better option as well. Possibly makes him a more underpriced option at 7.5.
Yeah.
So that's part of the thinking now. I can't really afford to bring in Lukaku, not without making some surgery. But yeah, hopefully Mount can at least benefit a little bit from his presence.
Absolutely. Right, let's switch over to Seb's team. But before we go into Seb's team, let's have a chat about some of the key aspects of this week. So we've got the international break, the Brazilian, the Mexican, the Paraguayan players coming back. There was a lot of conjecture in the press conferences yesterday about would they play? And we saw something late last night, a couple of journalists saying that the Premier League has sort of agreed with those governing bodies to waive the 5-day mandatory quarantine. So it looks like the South American players will play. Is that the consensus that you guys have thought?
Yeah, I think so. Like you say there, we're kind of just relying on what we've seen on Twitter from, the journalists seem confident, but we know these things can change. We know nonsense can occur. But I've made my moves based on the fact that, those players are going to play. I've got Rafinha, Jimenez, who both obviously could have been out. So I'm confident in that. I'm probably more confident in that than I am Ronaldo starting, although it also seems like he may well start too. So we'll probably get what we expected.
Yeah, Simon, what do you think about Ronaldo starting? Is he going to get... It was super weird, Ollie's press conference. He was just being super coy. And that either means he's going to come on at 60 minutes to a standing ovation at Old Trafford, or is he going to start? What do you reckon?
I just have this feeling that he's going to start. I could see him doing well. I think it's going to be for the first couple of games at least. It's going to be Operation Get Ronaldo a Goal, and I think that he'll probably start off really well. It's hard to see him being rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know longer term. I just have doubts longer term about. Obviously not him as a player. We all know he's one of the greatest players of all time. But whether playing Champions League and Premier League, and also the way that United play, the way they play on the transition, at Man City, he could have stood on the penalty spot and just, tapped in goals for the whole season. Whereas United, maybe he's getting the ball sort of 30 yards from goal, and that nowadays doesn't play completely to his strengths. So yeah, we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm going without at the moment.
Well, scary times.
I'm glad it's not on television in the UK.
Okay, Seb, let's come to your team, mate. Captain Fernandes, obviously different to Simon. So clearly you have faith in the Man United team with maybe a Ronaldo to put Newcastle to the sword. Is that the philosophy?
Yeah, it's very close between Salah and Fernandes. I've got the vice on Salah. I'd be very happy captaining Salah. I don't think our defence is well matched up against a player of his quality. We've seen that in the past. He scored a hat-trick against us in Game Week 1 last year, although 2 of those were penalties. He won one of them himself, though. But, 1 goal, 1 assist would be enough for a captain. We've not looked great. But if the whole Ronaldo thing had never occurred, I would have captained Fernandes. I think the fixture is a bit better. Newcastle's defence, according to the numbers, has been a bit worse, although Liverpool's attack has been better. And even with Ronaldo coming in, I kind of just want to uncomplicate it a bit for myself. So Ronaldo might take penalties, but do we think a penalty is going to occur this week? Is Fernandes suddenly going to become some sort of deep-lying playmaker? I think there's still good chances there. Over the long term, Ronaldo is definitely the better pick. But in this one-off match where we're not even sure what Ronaldo's status is going to be yet, I'm pretty happy putting it on Fernandes as captain. Maybe, though, that's me just trying to cover. Maybe I'm going, I don't have Ronaldo. I need some sort of Man United, captain.
No, I think it's perfectly reasonable. There's doubts about Ronaldo starting, so absolutely fine. And I think, as we were sort of alluding to earlier, he might get a little bit more space. The teams might not focus him as much, so I think it's perfectly acceptable captain pick. He's not going to change his ability just because Ronaldo's on the pitch, right? So yeah, what other moves have you made this week? 2 free transfers, right?
I took a hit, but so mine kind of came in like 2 stages. So I originally did Tsimikas to Williams, who's on my bench. I did that before Tsimikas dropped, so I banked for 0.1. I needed that 0.1 for 2 different things. So if I was going to wildcard this week and say get Jota in or whatever, I needed the 0.1 to make the wildcard team I wanted work. So I did that just to make sure. But then also I needed that 0.1 to build the team I want next week and the Game Week 7 team I want if I don't want a wildcard then. So the plan here is kind of, I know it's convoluted. The plan here basically is to not wildcard this week, obviously, and not wildcard in 7 either, but still get to 3 Chelsea and a couple of Wolves, which is what I want. I would have Sarr, James, Mount, and Lukaku. Brought in Jimenez this week. That would obviously cost me another -4, but that would be a -8 to effectively get the wildcard team I want in 7. But to make all of that work, I needed the 0.1. So that was my transfer this week, and I was very happy with it. Within the Wilson news that he was definitely out, I just moved Jimenez a week forward. Cost me a -4, but very happy to make that move.
Oh, that's a bit of a risk, though, is it? You were saying -1 to get the team you want in Game Week 7. Sorry, 0.1 to get your team in Game Week 7. Surely you're going to suffer some price changes until then, right?
Depends on which players they're in for, though, of course, because some of the players I won't remove. So it's the players I'm removing that I would need to lock in that value for. So, for example, I haven't got it in front of me, so I forget which one it was, but Luca Dean, I think, has dropped to 5.4. So with that drop, I needed like a 0.1 to be able to get back up to James, who is 5.6 now. So if that's a move I want to make, I need to have that money in the bank. If Dean drops again, yeah, sure, maybe it changes, but I'm not making those moves in Game Week 7. I could make them anytime over the next 3 weeks.
This is super far ahead planning. I like it. I like it a lot.
I'm
but
looking forward to it going very, very
yes,
wrong.
Things change quickly in FPL, but I do love it. I do love that forward line as well. The fact that you've moved away from the premium forward. But if you were going to pick 3 of those mid-price forwards, I think they would arguably be the ones. Calvert-Lewin, you don't have any worries about him starting this week?
No, I mean, he looked okay in training, didn't he? Rafa's comments weren't perfect, but it sounded like he was basically saying, yeah, he's carrying a knock, but he's in okay shape. He's doing well. We'll play him until he falls apart, which is fine for me for the next 3 weeks. He's got till Monday night as well to, look after himself. So hopefully so. I do have Livramento to come in if I did lose that. Obviously, another reason to make the Wilson Jimenez move. But I really, really like those mid-price forwards. I understand the rush to get Ronaldo, of course, but I think a lot of people are sacrificing a lot without necessarily giving it due consideration. We're throwing our forwards away to get Ronaldo. We're throwing Fernandes away. We're spending transfer points. We're using wildcards. Realistically, over the long term, Lukaku's probably the better option. Ronaldo's good now and has better fixtures, but that forward line is brilliant. Like, I could wildcard into a team that looked kind of like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. And I will probably get Lukaku, like I say, in 7. So in the meantime, I think those 3 forwards could, give or take for the price, match the premiums over that period.
Yeah, 3 game weeks worth. I think you're absolutely fine with those forwards because of, Ronaldo's, you're going to probably move him out anyway if you own him to Lukaku in game week 7. And Lukaku he's got a couple of difficult fixtures after Aston Villa. So I think you can get away with it. So yeah, I'm sort of a bit envious of that forward line, and I can't, as I said earlier, I want a Wolves player, but I might have to wait. Ben Rama plays Man United in game week 5, so maybe he can make way for Traore. We'll see. Well, let's move to my team, and there are some talking points here. Ronaldo comes in for me, and he's captained, so I'm a little bit. I've moved my vice and my captain around quite a lot this week in the last 6 hours, particularly between Salah and Ronaldo. I just think he will start, so I'm just going to captain Ronaldo. I mean, Newcastle at home is a great fixture. I've actually taken a hit, so I've done a little mini wildcard. 3 transfers. I've done Son, Mahrez and Ings to Mount, Greenwood and Ronaldo. So the issue was Son is almost certainly out for this Crystal Palace game, in my opinion. I read something, I think it was a Sky comment. They said that Nuno was being coy in the press conferences about the extent of Son's injury, but they also said they'll also be without some other players for the Crystal Palace match. So that just sort of sealed it in my head that he's going to be definitely out for this Crystal Palace match. But his record against Palace away is terrible. I don't think he's scored in 6 attempts. So the fact, even if he was fit, I was tempted to remove him. Mahrez, who knows? I've got tired of, seeing if he's going to start or not. And Danny Ings has some tough fixtures. So I think all 3 of those are decent transfers out. The transfers in, I mean, there was plenty of options. I could have gone Torres. I couldn't go Jota without removing Tsimikas for a -8, so I think this -4 is probably the best I could have done. And I don't know about Torres. What do you think about Torres? Like, is he going to continue to start for Man City? Seb, Simon, whoever?
Happily jump in. I think people are a lot more excited about him now after he obviously hauled. But hey, parallels for Raul Jimenez and Traore. the signs were there that he maybe had a haul coming. So you'd rather get one first. But of course, with that confirmation, it's easier to bring him in. I think in the short term, it's a good shout. He looks really good as a 9 for City. Like, in real football terms, I'd be pretty happy with that as a City fan. FPL, we know there's going to be rotation. We know Foden, De Bruyne, and friends are going to come back. We know the Champions League can affect it. Yeah, I don't really mind either way. I think it's a personal call that could pay off big, or it could pay off big for someone else. But your Greenwood and Mount could also score goals. I don't think there's going to be one correct team here.
Yeah, absolutely. The concern for me with bringing in Greenwood is, am I just bringing in sort of last week's points? But I think the gamble here is that he keeps his place for the next few weeks, and the fact that Ronaldo joins the team possibly enhances their goal-making ability, and Greenwood could definitely get amongst those goals. And I think counter to common perception is that he has actually been a bit of a creator. His expected assists isn't that great, but certainly when you watch the match, he's definitely looking to feed other players. So he was a sealed. He was the one I was most convinced about, and I definitely love Mount long term definitely from game week 7. So I just thought I'd get him in now, and I'll probably move Ronaldo to Lukaku like most people in game week 7. But I am a little bit worried about Ronaldo being benched. There's no reason why he can't get a goal in 30 minutes if he comes on at 60. But Salah might be the better captaincy. I'm not sure.
You know what's super interesting on that, and I'd love to hear what Simon thinks as well, is obviously we're all considering this from our own point of view. So right now, I don't think Ronaldo's going to be benched. I think he's going to start and score a hat-trick, and I hate not having him from that perspective. Whereas you, with the captain on him, you're like, oh no, what if he's benched? What if he gets injured? It's funny how, given the exact same information, our own personal position really changes how we think it's going to go.
100%. And I think when people watch content like this and they're looking for justification to do something, which is super 50-50, all they need is someone's opinion and they're like, yeah, I agree with that, I'll do it. It's almost like some sort of, you want to hear something so that you can bias yourself into doing it. What do you think, Simon? Is Ronaldo captain foolhardy, or do you reckon Salah's the better one?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's foolhardy. It's a risk for definite. I mean, the fact that he could come on for sort of the last 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something, it is there. I mean, it's true. You will kind of hear the information that you want to hear in these in these situations, and you'll kind of interpret it how you want to interpret it. And there's nothing anyone can really say that can convince you otherwise. It's something that you've kind of got to make the decision yourself based on as objective data as possible. But I think maybe captaining him this week is possibly more of a risk than is necessary. I think if you own him, then that's good. If you captain him, then you really are going all in on him performing.
I'm sort of justifying the -4, I think, by doing Ronaldo captain.
I think part of it also is that people are looking at it and sort of saying, well, would I captain him in his next few fixtures? Probably not. You're not necessarily going to captain him away to West Ham, maybe at home to Aston Villa and Everton are good fixtures, away to Leicester. Yeah, these are United's next few fixtures. So I think they're kind of looking at the fixtures and saying, all right, well, if I'm ever going to captain Ronaldo, it's going to be at home to Newcastle, and that's part of what's sort of shifting the momentum in his favour.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I mean, Salah has, Crystal Palace and Brentford in the next 2, so he's arguably the best captain. But yeah, I see what you mean about Ronaldo, but I think moving to Ronaldo early gives you the chance that you don't have to move your team around to fit in Lukaku on this premium forward carousel that we're all planning to do in the future. So it's sort of like getting your team structure set up. But yeah, the Ronaldo captain, I've always sort of said to myself, I want to captain a premium player at home every single game week. So maybe that's just the justification in my head. I think he will start. I just don't see how his influence is not going to get on Ollie's, get in Ollie's head about. I think it's a home match, and Man United, the fans, the expectation, they're going to want to see Ronaldo for as much as possible during that game. I don't think that Ronaldo, unless Ollie has some sort of massive ego that he wants to put him in his place and say, I'm the boss, your 50,000 million Instagram followers doesn't bother me. I think
can't really see it, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think Ronaldo's running this team from now on.
yeah, I agree. So I think he probably will start. Did you see that thing that he was going to say that he was going to? There was a video he said he was going to influence Ollie to start him, and he actually said that on a video. So what do you think? What do you make of that?
I can't say I didn't see it, but I suppose the charitable interpretation would be that he's saying that he's going to work hard in training and everything, and he's going to influence him that way rather than blackmailing him in the manager's office.
Oh, I interpret it in the blackmail way. So no, I love that. So yeah, I mean, I think the team looks all right. I think obviously Rafinha is a difficult fixture. Do we all have Rafinha at home to Liverpool? I think we do. I think maybe there's a chance he gets something there, but I mean, I'm just happy that he plays well. Fingers crossed, anyway. Right. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we end the stream? We've got 2 minutes until the deadline. Is anyone panicking? Is anyone going to change anything that they've presented today?
I do have a backup wildcard to go just in case, but now with 2 minutes to go, I guess I'm not using that. But I thought, because we were streaming, I thought I'll build a wildcard, not hit confirm, just in case like we're streaming and it comes out that, I don't know, all the Brazilians have been banned or something, which I'd need to fix. So I thought rather than trying to panic into a team, I just have a wildcard ready to go. Obviously, I'm not going to use that now. But I'm interested to know what you guys might do with your wildcards.
I'm really tempted to spam you now and go, yeah, it's just been announced. Just press the button. That would be so exciting. No, wildcards, I want to keep it as long as possible. As you sort of preempted, you want to try and get to a game week 7 position where you're happy with an equivalent wildcard team. So that's what I'll try and do as well. What about you, Simon?
Yeah, I think the same. I think that having a wild card in your pocket opens up so many different strategic options where you can play the game in a totally different way. You can do all the sort of ballsy moves like what Seb has been doing this week, in relying on that kind of point one. That if that doesn't work out, then you've got your wild card to fix it. So I think that you can take those kind of risks, and if you've got a wild card in your pocket that you can't take if you've already used it. But at the same time, if you use it now, then you've got a strategic advantage based on the current fixtures and the current forms. So
yeah, I mean, to be clear, there's no right or wrong answer here because it's so personal to not just your team, but how you want to play the game, right? We've just had 2 weeks where some people might go, I wanted to fill this 2 weeks with a wild card, with strategizing, with setting myself up for the future. Unless you're going to win the thing, it's a game. That's entirely legit. Absolutely. Personally, I'm trying to save it for, I think, game week 14, is it? Because then there's the switch again between Chelsea and Man United fixtures. And it's going to be a lot harder to go from Lukaku to Ronaldo than Ronaldo to Lukaku. So that's probably when I have mine penciled in for. Unless, like Simon says, I just randomly use it 1 week because I took a hit to get 0.1.
Interesting. I'm planning maybe even a longer wild card, maybe towards the end of the first half of the season when we have the African Cup of Nations to accommodate. And
that's a very good shout. That's a very good shout.
And possibly the Chelsea might get a blank game week in, I can't remember when it is, but they're playing in the World Cup League or whatever it is, World Cup competition.
Championship.
Club World Cup, whatever it's called. Yeah. So something to consider.
Christmas normally, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah, and it normally clashes with one fixture, so interesting to see what happens. But as you said, everything's personal to your own team, and if you need to make multiple changes, and it's going to cost you 2 or 3 hits to do it, then wildcard is definitely on the cards. So yeah, absolutely. But it's a good thing that we're all sort of fairly sensible with our planning. That we're going to be like, try and sort of ebb away at the -4s to try and get our team in a suitable position. But I am envious of people that have wildcarded this week because you clearly have like the perfect team, and it's exciting. I can't wait for Ronaldo to score his hat-trick.
Well, do you know, we started the stream by talking about the dreams that you guys had. I had a dream last night that United were playing, and Ronaldo wasn't on the pitch.
Don't say it. Don't say it, Simon.
They got a free kick right outside the penalty area. Bruno steps up, takes it, and he missed. So there you go.
Wouldn't it be weird if all of our dreams actually transpired in real life? That would be super weird.
Everyone bonus point for just penalties? I mean, if that's a bet you want to lay down, Ted, I'll take the other side of that.
Mate, your dream is like the most granular. I love that. I love that so much. Right, I think we'll leave it there though. 2 minutes past the deadline, and we're in game week 4, chaps. Best of luck to you both for your teams. Hope your transfers, and Jimenez especially, works his magic for you, because I will be getting on the Wolves train as quickly as I possibly can if they explode against Watford. So yeah, it will be a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. Good luck, everyone.
Goodbye from me.